Hey guys, this is going to be a review of the ShengShou 8x8. I've had this cube for a couple of weeks now. I bought it off livetape.com a while ago, but they are not actually on that store anymore. But you can buy it from E3 Cube Store and Cube Depot, and probably many more sites now. So looking at this puzzle, it is an absolute beast. Let's compare it to a normal 3x3. As you can see, it is massive. It can turn a whole 2 layers over the 3x3, and there's about half a layer on top, which is also bigger. And compared to a VCube 7, as you can see, it's slightly bigger. So this is definitely a ShengShou. Judging by the sticker quality, the shades are pretty much exactly the same as the ShengShou 5x5 and 4x4. And I don't know if you can notice, but these edges, they're very black. There's no stickers covering them, and they're very, very round and soft. And you get this on the ShengShou 5x5 as well, where you have this large piece of plastic here where you can see where it's nice and round. And I also like the way that they have made this a cubic puzzle. I really like cubic puzzles. I'm not really a fan of pillowed cubes, because on the VCube 7, when I'm trying to speed solve, I find it hard to sort of just grasp one layer with my fingers. Whereas on the 8x8, because the edges are quite a lot bigger, you can turn as many layers as you want. You can control it without catching layers that you don't want to turn. So as you can probably tell, the layers are not proportional. The centers are all cubic, and then you have the edges on the outside, which are rectangular, and then the corners, which are the largest pieces, which are also cubic. So I like the way that this cube looks. I actually do like the sort of unproportional pieces. I think it looks very, very nice, and I think that the cube turned out pretty well. So onto the turning, the outside layers turn absolutely amazingly. They are the smoothest parts of this cube, and they are really good for speed cubing. Despite the huge size of this puzzle, I do think that it turns very, very well. Then the second layers also turn very well, but you can sort of hear that. I'm pushing down quite hard on the layers, and you can hear that grinding. That's not clicking, because this cube is very smooth. That grinding is where the plastic injection from the production of this cube hasn't been sanded down, and these little bits of plastic that are rubbing against the layers, and it's causing that little grinding sound. But that will go away as you break in the cube, and it happens a bit more on the third layers. But again, I'm only holding it down quite hard, so if you're just turning it normally, it does turn very smooth. And then the inside layers, wow, these are extremely smooth. There's like no grinding on these layers. It's a very, very nice puzzle for this sort of movement. And there's no clicking at all. Unlike the VCube 6, this is very, very smooth, and I've solved this many times and they have never come out of alignment. So I'm really pleased with how it turns. So this is definitely a cube for speed cubing, I would say. There is one problem with the pops that you can get. If you do overturn and try and force a layer, it will pop. Especially if you're using these layers, the second layers. And it does lock up quite a bit when you're solving, but that's only if you do overturn. The corner cutting of this puzzle is exceptionally good. It can turn about a whole cubie and still cut. Sometimes even more on some faces. But it does pop quite a bit if you try and do it on the 2 layers. As you can see, I just got a pop there. And that's why I don't really like to speed cube too much with this puzzle. I must solve it quite slowly and try not to get a pop. because these are quite hard to get back in. As you can, so looking into the internals of this puzzle, it is very complicated. As you can see, that it's sort of like the V-Cube 6 mechanism, in that you have these wedge pieces attached to a separate core, and then all these separate cubies are attached around that core. So the pieces of this puzzle are very complicated. For the edges, you have a large edge with a very long tail, a shorter one, and then the smallest of the edges. And these all attached together like so. And then they fit into the puzzle like so. And they clip in like that. Then we have the inner centers, which look like this piece. Well, you have the cubie and then this piece of plastic around here. We have the middle of the centers, and these sort of remind me of the ShengShou 4x4 version 3, where they have this tail piece here, this little piece of sticking up. And then we have the outside center edges, and these pieces all fit together nicely like so. And finally we have the corners of each center. So we have the smaller corners, which are these pieces. We have the large corners, which are the outside corners of the center, which are quite big. And they fit together like so. So overall, I really like this cube. It's probably one of my favourite cubes out of my collection. Just the turning of the puzzle, the complexity of the puzzle, how big it is. I love bigger cubes, and it's just an absolute fantastic product. They are ranged about $88, which is £60 in UK currency. So it's quite pricey, but I do recommend you get it. Probably should wait until the price drops a little bit. But it's definitely something you should consider buying. So this has been my review of the ShengShou 8x8. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.